Hey everyone, Adam Levitan here. This clip originally aired on our podcast, which you can find for free at establishtherun.com. But we thought our YouTube audience would enjoy it as well. All right, Evan, second guy we're going to talk about here, rankings change, is Aaron Jones, and a guy that we've talked about a couple times already, but I had to bring him up again because you have come around. He is now up to running back 15 ahead of Derrick Henry, ahead of Leonard Fournette, ahead of Todd Gurley. Aaron Jones, when he came off that hamstring injury, went right back to starting right away with the starters, with the ones in practice. Why the move now, though, Evan, to finally come around on Aaron Jones and get him up to the top of that tier?
Yeah, we talked about this on the last ranking show, how I'd look at the rankings like every day and I'd think about moving him up. And then I just determined that it was that time. It was time to get Jones into that third running back tier, which is a pretty big tier, but he belongs in it. His talent has never been in doubt. Knock on wood, their offensive line has been healthy throughout camp. He just came back from his hamstring injury, and I think he should be all systems go. So I took him from RB19 to RB15, up a tier, and I feel pretty comfortable with it. He's right behind Devontae Freeman and Marlon Mack, and now he's ahead of Leonard Fournette and Gurley and Derrick Henry. I think that he's right near his ADP right now, and I think that's a good spot for him.
All right, let's move to the San Francisco running back situation. Jerick McKinnon, his rehab from his ACL has not been clean. He's had multiple setbacks now. He had another setback, and it looks like he might not even be ready for week one. We've seen speculation that Jerick McKinnon will start the year on PUP, or Raheem Mostert can't play game and stay healthy. It seems like we're down to a two-man backfield now for all intents and purposes, Evan. You have moved Tevin Coleman from RB31 to RB26, and also Matt Breida, a guy that we got in our FFPC draft, from RB44 to RB35. I'm optimistic about this backfield. I think Tevin and Breida are both pretty good players. Where do you think in with the San Francisco backfield?
So the beat writers seem to expect at this point that Jerick McKinnon is going to open the season on IR. He can't go on PUP because they practiced him for one day, and so now he's ineligible for PUP. And going on IR, he could end up missing the entire season, or they could try to bring him back at midseason or late in the year. But, obviously he's out of the picture. So the first thing that I did was move Breida way up. And because as you mentioned, this backfield just went from a three-man deal to a two-man deal, and that's really, really big. It's to a situation where both of these guys are going to be, at worst, flex options on a weekly basis. And I had Matt Breida as the biggest beneficiary of that. Jerick McKinnon's best attribute was his receiving ability, and I think that Matt Breida is a better receiving back by a little bit at least than Tevin Coleman. Coleman also got a little bump. This is still a committee, but Tevin Coleman is pretty secure right now, I think, as the lead guy in the committee, and Matt Breida as the 1B back. And the 49ers have one of the easiest run defense schedules in the league this year per Sharp Football. And last year, the 49ers backfield collectively finished with the fifth most yards from scrimmage in the NFL. They're bringing back all five offensive line starters after finishing top 10 in Football Outsiders run blocking metric. I love drafting Matt Breida like in the 9th or 10th round, and really haven't seen the appropriate amount of movement on his ADP after the Jerick McKinnon setback. Still a guy that he's a guy that you just should be taking in literally every single draft.
By the way, if you want to watch Evan and I take Matt Breida, we videotaped ourselves during our last FFPC 350 draft. I think it went pretty well. We did end up with Breida. Nick Chubb, Evan, is up to the RB8, 13th overall in your update. However, still behind James Conner, still behind Le'Veon Bell. Nick Chubb is set up, at least for the first 9 weeks, at least until Kareem Hunt gets back, comes off suspension. Nick Chubb is set up to, I think, absolutely destroy. Duke Johnson gone, major goal line role, really exciting offense. I also think I would add that Nick Chubb, I believe, is like 6,400 on DK in week one. Would expect him to be among the most popular players, and with good reason, home against Tennessee. Evan, have you moved Nick Chubb up? Have you thought about going above Connor and Le'Veon?
Oh, yeah. If the season just went from in weeks 1 through 9, then I would have Nick Chubb in the first tier among running backs. Unfortunately, he's got that, the issue that when Kareem Hunt, if he comes back, which he probably will, then he's going to hurt Nick Chubb in the fantasy playoffs. So that's the big concern. Trust me, I'm going to be using Nick Chubb as much as I can in daily fantasy, and I want him on my team. I especially in the overall rankings in the top 150, I try to just jam him up as high as I possibly can. He's just hard to get over Le'Veon and James Conner because of that Kareem Hunt late season concern. But Nick Chubb, I had him down at RB10, but he got an obvious bump when the Browns traded Duke Johnson because it could potentially unlock Nick Chubb in the passing game. Last year, Nick Chubb in his 10 starts averaged only 2.8 targets per game. And I do think that Dontrell Hilliard will be involved, and I really like Dontrell Hilliard actually as a late-round fantasy pick. I jammed him up into the top 150. But I don't think that Dontrell Hilliard is going to play as much as Duke Johnson did. Last year, Duke Johnson actually played 42% of the Browns' offensive snaps. And I'd be very surprised if Dontrell Hilliard got there. I think that Nick Chubb now has a shot to be an every down running back.